Well, it's interesting. I think people are still, firms are still, trying to understand uh, the length and extent of shelter in place first, and then what happens after that, and then what if there is a new normal. Broadly speaking, I'd say we are still, going to execute our internship process, recognizing that may for the majority be virtual, but still nonetheless a good experience. And as I mentioned, we're bringing in associates starting on Monday, and we are in kind of final stages of another hire. So we haven't changed or diverted our kind of hiring plan for at least the next 12 months. And then from there, hopefully COVID is behind us. So no near-term impact, at least from the hiring perspective.
I guess I'll comment on kind of what I'm seeing across the space, and also from kind of, I mean, at least my thought process here. I think as Tony's kind of alluding to this, some of this is to be written, so we'll see what happens and how long this thing continues. But my genuine feeling is timelines may get pushed back by a couple months, perhaps. But I think generally, hiring capacity, at least, just kind of as you think about needs and the investing space and how much people have capital to deploy, and just kind of interesting investing opportunities that are going to exist in any market. I don't think, perhaps more than 5 to 10% is just a number I'll throw out there, but I'm not sure that there's like a huge drastic reduction one way or the other. Obviously, if this thing continues to worsen, maybe that's the case. So I think that's my outlook on kind of what'll happen in the fall or next year, because I do think there's a lot of firms still looking for really good talent. And then a flip side, I think I challenge everyone here, again, to still be proactive. Even if firms aren't coming to campus to recruit, there are people that will have spots that have, need for good talent and always want to talk to people. So everyone kind of made this point, but being proactive and reaching out to people, I've found, especially even the summer cases, right? I think over the last 3 weeks, I've heard from like 15, 20 MBAs who've gotten, summer PE positions that maybe thought all hope was lost like 2 4 weeks ago. So I think just putting yourself out there and talking to people and understanding their needs. And then lastly, adding value, like communicating why we should, people should hire you, is another great way to kind of get in front of people and try to get ahead of this, the recruiting cycle.
Yeah, I'll address the networking side of things, and then I'll address the landscape side of things. I guess from the networking side, like, I cannot underestimate the importance of the informational phone call. I did a lot of those. I've now done a bunch of them on the other side. So like, send an email, make sure, please do your research before you send an email, right? Before you, but be like, hey, I have these 3 targeted questions I want to ask you. People are probably going to get on the phone with you, maybe for 10 to 15 minutes, but they'll give you some of their time, or at least they'll respond to you via email. So truly information, rather than just like thinking about it to get something, actually trying to learn will get you somewhere, right? That will impress people, that like legitimate curiosity and that sense of like discovering things. So that's number one. I think you can still do that in the time of COVID. I guess from a landscape perspective, like, I'm a little less optimistic. I feel like maybe there's a world in which we turn a light switch and like things go back to normal, but and that's, I guess, what the market seems to think is going to happen. I just, having seen consumer confidence numbers from even before shutdowns happen, like, I am not that optimistic. And, I think there's potentially a big shakeup coming to this world. And there's a lot of dry powder, and that'll be great for people that have capital and have shored up their portfolio companies that are at risk. But I think there's potentially a chance that we have a big issue within the next year. And so, if you look back at the financial crisis and you saw a lot of consolidation of smaller players, things like that, like, something worth thinking about. I personally am mentally preparing myself for a downside scenario. I happen to be going to a firm that does a lot of distressed debt investing. So for me, it's actually kind of exciting, but that's something I would think about if I were recruiting. It's like maybe trying to go somewhere that plays flexibly across the capital structure, like maybe not just pure play private equity, because that world may look really different in 6 months, but someone that's able to do something in a non-growth, like, who knows what growth is going to look like in 6 months. Like, I personally am just, I wanted to go somewhere with a super flexible mandate, because it means that no matter what happens, you can play. And that's just something worth thinking about, because who knows, the uncertainty level right now is, at least for me, quite high. So